Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Coming up later this year, really in the not too distant future, all things considered, we are going to enter the next era of Warzone. What I mean by that is that the current version of Warzone that we have, which is technically still Warzone 2.0, you know, from Modern Warfare 2 into MW3 into Black Ops 6 into what's now Black Ops 7. This is all one era of Warzone, much like Modern Warfare 2019, Cold War, and Vanguard were one era of Warzone. So the sun is setting on this current era, this current version of Warzone, and looking forward to the future here with what's next. We actually have some interesting details through various different leaks and rumors that have surfaced over the course of the past few months. We also have several pretty important questions to ask about what's upcoming as well. So obviously the next era of Warzone is coming alongside the Modern Warfare 4 Warzone integration, like we've seen with every new premium title released for COD since 2020 when Warzone dropped. There is an integration update to merge the premium experience and Warzone into one content hub, if you will. You still have your separate multiplayer modes and the campaign and the third mode and whatever that ends up being on any given year, but then you also have a lot of that content put into Warzone, for better or for worse in some years, of course. And most likely the MW4 Warzone integration is going to be happening in late 2026. This is usually something that always happens with season 1 of each new game. However, it's going to be interesting to see the full timing this year, because obviously right around late 2026, as of now at least, we are going to see the drop of the single biggest video game of all time in Grand Theft Auto 6. And I highly doubt that Call of Duty wants to drop any mode or major update near Grand Theft Auto 6 whatsoever. So we might end up seeing a Warzone integration that's pushed up a little bit earlier on into, you know, the launch cycle. So maybe it's not a month or so after launch of MW4, maybe it's 2 weeks or 3 weeks after, or maybe it gets pushed back, although you're running a major risk there releasing anything in close proximity after Grand Theft Auto 6 releases. So they're definitely in a tough spot here as far as integration timing goes, and we'll have a much better understanding of what to expect with this once we have a full-on MW4 timeline and we know when that game's going to be releasing, for what it's worth. But that's going to be a really important factor this year, maybe more so than really any other year of a Warzone integration update. So certainly something to keep an eye on there as time goes on. Now, according to all the leaks and all the rumors that we've gotten around MW4 in this next era of Warzone, this is going to be a hard reset for Warzone, just like it was when we went from Vanguard into Modern Warfare 2022 and Warzone 2.0. That's what we're going to see this year with MW4 Warzone, where everything you have is gone. You are starting fresh from square one, no blueprints, no operator skins. If you stay on the same platform, like if you're playing on PlayStation right now and you're going to play on PlayStation and MW4, you'll keep your COD points. But if you're jumping from PlayStation to PC, you're not going to keep your COD points. And it's also very possible, because this is like an engine update, a hard reset there, that XP tokens won't be something that carries over either. We've seen that carry over for the past few years, but unlikely, in my opinion, based off of how this has gone before, that we'd see all of those carry over into the next version of the game. It'd be a nice surprise to have all your XP tokens from this year that you don't end up using, but I wouldn't get your hopes up for that. Specifically, it's basically everyone starting completely fresh at the same spot, nothing on your account whatsoever. Now, as far as what's on your account now and the status of everything there from MW2 to BO7, we've really got no idea what the support system is going to be like for Warzone and everything going on this year beyond the MW4 launch. We of course had the original Warzone 1 servers stay up for a little bit going into the Warzone 2 era, but of course then they fully shut those down and there's no way to access Warzone 1, and all that content that you unlocked or bought during Modern Warfare 2019, Cold War, and Vanguard is only accessible on those premium titles. So it's likely going to be a similar situation to that if I had to guess. I just don't see a reality where they support two different eras and versions of Warzone at once. That's going to split the player base in some awkward ways. You know, they really don't want a situation where maybe the next Warzone doesn't go over super well and people are going back to this version of Warzone. Like, that would look really bad from the business side of Activision. So I'd expect, you know, an eventual sunset to these servers as well. Obviously, this is a lot of stuff that will end up getting confirmed in the next few months, so as we start to see new leaks and rumors surface, anything official, I'll obviously be covering all of it when it happens, so stay tuned for that alongside everything else going on in COD by hitting that subscribe button. And as we're going through all these details, all these rumors so far, if you guys enjoyed the video, a like rating is always seriously appreciated. Now, another thing that's been rumored for this next era of Warzone is current gen and next gen support only, so no more last gen support with Xbox One and PlayStation 4. We of course have seen a lot of titles recently, most notably in this seen Battlefield 6 drop and not support last gen. COD's been doing this for years and years and years when other games haven't. At this point, especially with like GTA 6 on the horizon, those consoles, that generation of consoles and hardware is really getting phased out, even though quite a few people still do play on those, and that's why COD releases there. Still, they make a huge chunk of extra change from all the people buying on Xbox One and PlayStation 4, despite the experience being severely diminished compared to current gen and PC. Of course, it's still a moneymaker for them, but at some point you have to say, okay, the game could be far better, far more optimized, far more expansive if we just cut that last gen support, and seemingly that could be happening here with Modern Warfare 4. We obviously have upcoming here map rotation across the board in Warzone, big map rotation, resurgence rotation. So that's a feature that has not been in Warzone up until when the devs confirmed it about a month or two ago here. That should fully be a thing, especially if we're next gen and current gen only with MW4 Warzone. Full on big map rotation. We should have options on options on options there, which ultimately should be good for gameplay. I'm really curious to see if they start with one brand new map and then also cycle in like, older ones, whether it's Verdansk still, whether they put Avalon in there, even though it's not going to be a Black Ops year anymore. If we bring back older ones like Al Mazrah, we see things like that, maybe even Caldera eventually. With full on map rotation, they've got choices there, and I think it'd be cool to let those other maps from the past sort of maybe return in some fashion, but also obviously we want new content at the forefront as well. You also just heard me bring up, obviously next year, no longer a Black Ops version of Warzone, which obviously raises the question, okay, we have Black Ops Royale is like the big thing going on. The devs confirmed they are going to be supporting this for the next several months. When I was in a dev call with them a while back, they were very deliberate about that wording. I felt that Black Ops Royale will be supported for the remaining few months of this content year. That means going into MW4 Warzone. Obviously, in a Modern Warfare Warzone era, having Black Ops Royale is not really something that's going to be featured there. And then we don't really know what's going to happen. Are they going to completely sunset Black Ops Royale? It's had very mixed opinions so far. Quite a few complaints about it not being too similar to OG Blackout and bleeding a little bit too much into what Warzone has done recently. So there's a lot to evolve with this mode. There's a lot to, polish as time goes on. But if it's something that does get better as we see the Season 3 updates, Season 4, Season 5, so on, it's going to be interesting to see if this is a style of gameplay. Maybe they don't dub it Black Ops Royale, but they just dub it, classic battle royale or something where there's no loadouts, there's no gulag, there's no buybacks or buy stations rather. If that's something they actually try to carry on throughout MW4 Warzone. We also have to wonder about DMZ 2.0 because going back to the start of this era of Warzone, DMZ was a part of Warzone 2.0 as that free access option there. And obviously DMZ had a lot of hype going into it. There's still a pretty healthy support system behind DMZ as far as a player base goes. Obviously it's not getting updates anymore, and it hasn't gotten updates since MW2 ended, and they certainly should have done more with it throughout the year. But we're gonna have to see how much DMZ 2.0 ties into this next era of Warzone as well. One of the big, I think, missteps when first introducing DMZ is that it was its own mode, but then Warzone was its own mode. But for whatever reason, the devs tried to integrate them together as well and split features across them, and they DMZ-ified Warzone, which obviously led to major pushback with Warzone 2.0, and they had to course correct a lot earlier on there. They need to have these as two separate entities, full support systems, because I think there's a ton of hype behind a Call of Duty extraction, especially if they build it out like these other extractions on the market have as of late. Looking at Arc Raiders, looking at, Marathon, things like that. There's a big opportunity for Call of Duty to really get into this genre and push it to new heights if they end up going through and, following the blueprint of what works well and what worked well in DMZ, but also just the genre in general here. And then the last big question we've got for the next era of Warzone: how long is this actually going to be supported? We've seen the reports, we've talked about them in videos recently, that the battle royale genre as a whole has seen less and less players over the course of the past year or so. It has dwindled down some. Maybe that's because extraction shooters have been on the rise. Maybe that's just because the quality of some of these battle royales as of late. But how long is the battle royale genre as a whole going to continue to be a main attention drawer in the gaming scene? And how long can a Call of Duty battle royale continues to sustain itself? Is it actually making money and holding players? From Activision's POV, is there general interest in the player base there? It's going to be interesting to see, because obviously they've lost a lot of trust and a lot of hype behind the player base throughout the Warzone 2.0 era thus far. So MW4 Warzone would have to do some serious course correcting. So this whole next era of Warzone and the future of this mode as we know it is gonna be really interesting to see unfold. It's a pivotal year across the board, especially for Warzone, because it's gonna be so closely released to GTA 6 presumably, and obviously trying to rebound off the past few years being largely underwhelming. That said, that's going to wrap things up for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure to drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, you want to ensure you are always in the know for everything going on in COD, this is the place to be. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.